Hi, thanks for coming. I'm answering a question from somebody who wants to know essentially what to do about losing her motivation. Uh, I have been struggling over the last few months to get my motivation back, and I read up on karma yoga and dharma. Okay. Over the last week or so, I've been purposely performing my duties in my various roles with a completely different focus, and I've been feeling my motivation begin to return. Instead of doing something and expecting a result of some kind and either material rewards or someone praising me for what I have done, I have instead been performing each task with the mindset by doing this task I can help another person. At the start of each job, I focus on a person or persons as this task will help and not expect any result at all. I just do it because it needs to be done and it can help someone. All my roles of motherhood, wifehood, community volunteer, and even my business role can be performed in a way that benefits others. By doing this and focusing on helping others rather than the beneficial result, um, will specifically help me. Is this karma yoga? Yes, it is. Um, and actually, this is a statement of the second law of Tantra. And into your own personal terms. Second law of Tantra says, do something that's good for you. Okay, it must help you, first and foremost. Secondly, it must help others. And thirdly, you believe that it's going to continue to help people in the future. So that's a statement of that second principle of karma, of Tantra, and in regards to karma. Karma is comes from two parts, kar and ma. And the ma is an activating uh, suffix, if you will. And karma and dharma are related. Okay. Karma means to act. Okay. And so there's a little joke that goes with that. My karma ran over your dogma. So my actions ran over what your dogma is. Dharma is a subset of karma. It's also an action. Okay, if you go look up dharma, the root is dur, dhr, which means to hold. And people have various interpretations, but what it really means is you uphold the laws of the universe. So right action, and there's a statement called swadharma, which is what this question is about. So the universe, there's a dharma to live in this universe. There's a dharma to live in this country. There's a dharma to live in this town. and it's a dharma for your action. And the purpose of dharma is to if you do these actions, you are completely in tune with the universe. So, one of the things I also did is went and looked at this issue of karma and dharma. Also goes to the heart of the matter for yoga. Because when you do dharmic acts, they're always good. Okay. Good for who? Good for yourself. I'm going to read you out of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. This is my guru's book. And in the 4th chapter, called the portion on absoluteness. Okay. The actions of the yogi are neither white, parentheses, good, nor black, bad. But the actions of others are of 3 kinds, good, bad, and mixed. So let me tell you a little story. There was a traveling sadhu named Nityananda. And he was well known in the part of India where he traveled around. So much so that one day when he came to a village, a farmer who had seen him before invited him to come to his house and have food and a place to sleep. And he was very happy to do that, both the farmer and Nityananda. The next morning, the farmer's daughter was making breakfast for Nityananda. And she had just cooked him something, and all of a sudden, Nityananda, in the middle of eating his breakfast, jumped up, went to the fire, and took out a stick that had an ember on the edge. And he touched her on the arm and ran away. What to make of this? He never said anything about this. Okay? So let's go to this, back to the sutra, number 7. The actions of the yogi are neither white nor black, but the actions of others are of 3 kinds, good, bad, and mixed. So this act, was it good? Well, from the girl's point of view, it was bad. I mean, it didn't really hurt her. It left a little mark. The farmer couldn't understand what happened because this is totally out of character from Nityananda that he knew. So what must have happened? Okay. So they thought that if you look at the others in this piece were the farmer and the daughter. And what they concluded was that this was some negative act. Okay, so everybody in the village knew, and it sort of died down. The next weekend, there was a traveling astrologer, and he came and charged people money to read their astrological charts. But the farmer invited him to stay at his house. And in the morning, he decided that, to thank the farmer, he would do their charts. And so he did the other rest of the family. When he came to the daughter, his eyes bugged out. And he says, my God, Indian astrology is very good for predicting events, not so good on personality. Okay, he said, my God, you were supposed to be burnt up last week. Oh. All of a sudden, they realized why Nityananda did what he did. Okay. And he just did it. He just got up, and he couldn't explain it to the people. So his motivation for staying there was gone. And he left. And if he hadn't had the astrologer come by, no one would have known. Let me repeat that phrase again. The actions of the yogi are neither white nor black, but the actions of others are of three kinds: good, bad, and mixed. So one of the outcomes of self-realization is that you feel your emotions are much stronger than regular people's. You feel their pain. You feel their happiness. In the chapter on absoluteness, the fourth chapter, we're coming back to dharma. Dharma means to hold. So let me ask you, in this case, what was the swadharma for Nityananda? It was the right thing to exhaust that karma. But then it was also the right thing for him to run away. Oh, by the way, we're talking about karma and dharma. Let me ask you, how many quote unquote gurus talk about this and how to deal with it? Okay. The dharma means to uphold the law. When you uphold the law, you're always doing good. So to go back to Swami Nityananda, he didn't care what people perceived, whether his actions were good or bad. He just did it. So really what he's doing, he's upholding the law to manifest happiness right now with himself and with others. So Let me go on to the letter, but just to finish off. I found the Dharma a bit of a tricky subject. I have interpreted his role, e.g., it is the Dharma of mother to look after her child. Is this right? Is this what Dharma means? Yes, it's absolutely right. Look after your kids. And the kids should look after the parents later on. Also, if you try to escape your Dharma, you cause harm. Adharma. Well, this is tricky. Why is it tricky? Because change of reference makes something that looks negative is actually positive. And that's why I told the story of Nityananda, because it has both positive and negative embedded at different levels of the hierarchy of truth. And so I go on. And in that case, it's my Dharma to be a mother, wife, businesswoman, community volunteer, as long as I perform these roles joyfully with a pure heart, focusing on how I can help others and therefore not putting myself above them and thus reducing the ego. Well, this reminds me of a story about Benjamin Franklin. He says that, every day I'm trying to improve myself, and I have 13 goals every day. One is to be industrious and thriftful and help others. He says, but when I do all these 12 things, then I fail in that my ego gets puffed up. So just always, and see, that's the Gayatri mantra. The prayer of thanksgiving in the Gayatri says, may my mind go in the right direction. Okay. I'll give you a personal example about Dharma and wrong Dharma, Adharma. I'm very smart, okay, and I thought I knew a lot of things. When I was younger, when I had some money, I wanted to take and become a big developer. Build tracts of homes and have some input into the marketplace. So I bought a house. And had problems in the remodel of it. But finally, when I was about 2 weeks from finishing, somebody went and stayed in the house, made a cooking fire on a wooden floor, and the entire house burnt down. I didn't realize my Dharma. At that time, I didn't realize my Dharma was to tell people about spiritual things, even though I knew. When you do your Dharma, it says better to do your own Dharma rather than imperfectly, rather than another's Dharma perfectly. And the universe will get you. That's my conclusion. And that was just one example. Finally, I gave up. It says, okay, and I started making these videos. And this has been very interesting ever since. Now, if we go back to the verse 7 in the 4th chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, is this good or bad? Well, I've reframed that event to say, well, God was just giving me a tap on the shoulder saying, you're not going to do this. Okay. Let me end by saying, quoting someone well known in the Bible. And it's called a beatitude. And beatitude can be broken up into two words. Be attitude. Okay, so one of the beatitudes is, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. When you do dharma long enough, good acts, your heart becomes pure. And you see God everywhere. Okay. Okay, peaceful feeling behind it. I know you have hinted in your video I was on the path, but still had all this other stuff to get through, such as my job, etc. Is this the sort of thing you meant? Or could you expand? Okay. I think you are ready. Your source of discontent is the same sort of discontent that Rama had just before his enlightenment. He had gone on a pilgrimage, and when he came back from that pilgrimage, everybody in the palace noticed that he was not happy. He just sort of went through the motions. And this is one of the signs that the universe gives you. Okay, in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it's called the yoga of despair. How could despair be a pathway to yoga? And this pathway or this thing here somehow is telling you that there's something more that's missing in your life. So all those acts of kindness and charity finally can no longer satisfy compared to the feeling of loss or missing something. So the way you deal with that is get more information. What does it mean to be realized? For you personally, not for me. You want to know what is behind this moving drama in front of us. Who is it that's watching? Ramana Maharshi has become the expert on the Who Am I inquiry. So one of the things you mentioned is you'd like to learn the Gayatri. Yes, when you learn the Gayatri, your definition of yourself changes. You're not just a limited being. When you know your past lives, that tells you that you existed before this body. Therefore, you're going to exist after this body. So it's like having a car. When the old car gets dinged up and beaten up, you get a new one. But along the way, you gather experience that finally tells you, oh, I want to do something different. Okay, and this is your despondency telling you what you want to do. You just need to listen to it. Thank you.